And look at Jochen Hahn and Antonio Albacete. The two of them go flying through the right-hand side, then the left-hand side. Jochen Hahn around the outside, and Lucas Hahn, no father and son, come together on the exit of turn one.
And the best thing about this is the fact that it's still a 15-minute sprint race. They've not extended the time of the race. It's still just like, it's going to be, what, 7 laps of Spa-Francorchamps?
Yeah. We get to the real nitty-gritty of motorsport. Cranston and Snetterton side by side for the title in the very final race of the season. As we go back up the hill towards the Schumacher. Nils Core clips the back at 10. Simon Povey clips the side of Nils Core. They go over the hill and Povey's around.
Oh my god, that's going to definitely do the thumbnail when it hit me in the right direction.
Thank you so much.
23 cars.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Chaz Draycott Media and welcome to the Orris Analytics Club Racing Fest by Sim Racing Magazine Events. We're here for an incredibly fun night of racing here, another special event by the SRM Events community, and we're here for 3 races this evening in 3 different cars at 3 different tracks. It's going to be an absolute corker of a night. Plenty of action to come your way. This is an as-live broadcast, just to get this out there. This was basically filmed and obviously took place last night on Tuesday, and I can tell you straight off the bat, it was a riot, and we're going to have a riot covering it here tonight. We, being myself, Chaz Draycott, and the delightful Ed May in the commentary box with me. Ed, you've been keeping yourself spoiler-free, and I'm sure still looking forward to the chaos that ensued after a lot of build-up ahead of this evening.
Yes, absolutely. I know you didn't quite get that luxury, Chaz, did you? Obviously having to tot up the points so we can have the graphics ready for the end of the broadcast. So thank you so much for your sacrifice, because that means I get a front row seat to everything that unfolded last night. And, well, what a format we have in store, don't we? 3 different circuits, 3 different types of discipline as well in terms of the cars that the drivers will be driving over the course of the evening. It is a real festival here at the Orris Analytics Club Racing Fest.
Yeah, it'll be absolutely great fun. The first race of the night will be at Donington Park on the National layout, and we're going to be in the incredible, the hilarious, but also fantastic racing producing Renault Clio. And as you see here, the first car on screen is Joe Glass. Joe, a commentator and broadcaster for the Evolution Sim Racing Championship, the GT3 Championship as well. He does the B split, and he also does their TCR and GT4 League. We've also got Heinz Mayer out there on circuit. We must give a big thank you to Heinz. He has once again sponsored an event of ours, hence the title, the Orris Analytics Club Racing Fest by SRM Events. Do not be alarmed, by the way, with the session time that you can see just up there where it says there's half an hour left. That will be shortly ending, at least I hope so anyway, because the session itself has been set to have only 15 minutes left from the start of the broadcast. But we've got some great cars out there. We've got the Spontex cars out in force, Mike Murphy and Ben Chalcraft in the Spontex CDM Esports Clios. They're joined also by Simon Price in car number 64. It's great to see the names like Matt Hoyland and Francois Brandet back on our screens as well. Chris Humphreys makes his debut in the series in possibly the longest team name here. Humphreys Esports, powered by very fast internet. Lee Berridge, a stalwart of SRM. He's been in a number of our series before. He's back once more. Same with Chris Jennings as well. He's got some fantastic retro liveries lined up tonight. He's in the camel livery for this one. A newcomer in the form of Marco Ferrini for Ingano Motorsport, the lovely matte red machine. And then the Craig Earp Racing Team, which I'm sure you'll all know as the Chicane Online Racing Team, which is going to be made up of Niels Kaur and his teammate Dennis Van Beelen. And you'll be not ridiculed for realising that's a Little Tykes car, Ed.
Yeah, I think it was a Little Tykes or Fisher Price or something. Yes, that is the Little Tykes racing car. Love the little happy face on the front. But these machines, Chaz, are something that I know you're very familiar with, aren't you, off your work in the European Clio Cup series?
Yeah, the Clio Cup 5 as it is, the Clio Cup R5, fantastic little race car, about 160 horsepower, and makes a lot of fantastic turbo chirps and whistles and all sorts, but it's a really planted little race car. The older versions of the Clio race car were really loose on the rear, but this one, it's not too difficult to get it to go in a very straight line, a very straight line. It's not easy to break away, basically. So the drivers you will see wrestling with the steering a slight bit here and there, but it's not as loose as its previous counterparts. So yeah, this is also a livery. Sorry, just very quickly, this is a livery that I made when the guys said they were going to run as the I think it's the gendarmerie or whatever they call it in France, the sort of the countryside police. Francois and Matt said they didn't have a livery for it, so I made L''Rosers and just did that for them. Dan McCauley, fresh from his trip to America, is wearing a Hooters livery for the first race of the night. He's got a theme that matches his little holiday to Daytona with Drew Fletcher all over his cars this evening, so keep an eye out for his theme.
Will do. Obviously, the Clio's familiar to race circuits here especially at Donington Park, as part of the support race package, wasn't it, for the British touring cars? I think a few years ago, if memory serves right. It's a wonderful little bit of kit, and it was actually, as from at least my time going to races trackside, it was obviously with the main event of the British touring cars. These were one of the real highlights as well. The racing was absolutely wonderful, and
Always.
tell you what, they really did know how to chuck it around. I remember people like Dan Zelos absolutely just chucking the thing. Well, not just at the corners, but at other cars as well, because they are not shy of a little bit of contact, are they, the Clio Cup drivers?
Not one bit. You can see Heinz Mayer has gone fastest with a 7-second lap there. That's one of the one of the disadvantages of running off of a replay file, I'm afraid, is that very often you will see that some of the times get a little bit messed up. I just wanted to bring our attention back to the Prestanda Nomad livery on this Clio for Tom Stanley. Lovely looking race car indeed. Tom hoping for some big things this evening. We've got the likes of Fraser Smith and Arthur Thurtle out there, though. Those guys both very fast. Ian Stitchbury makes his debut here for this evening. Who else have we got out there that we haven't seen before? I mean, Joe Glass is a great one to have with us as well. Like I say, Joe is no slouch either. Joe very, very quick in the Evolution sim racing community, but he's taken to the broadcasting role more than anything now. Simon Price has become a stalwart of SRM events. It's great to have him on the grid once again this evening. Dan McCauley saying in chat that he loves owls. Absolutely does. Ka-chow indeed. So, any predictions here tonight, Ed? Because the interesting element of this is that obviously races 2 and 3, which we will get to, obviously. Race 2 will be the Formula Fords at Snetterton on the 300 layout. And then we have the MX-5s to round out the evening at Silverstone. But one of the funniest things about all of this is that we have full reverse grids, and that includes drivers that didn't finish as well. So if you don't finish a race, you get a massive advantage of then being on pole position for race 2. So it's going to be a bit chaotic in terms of results, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be upside down, topsy-turvy. Ian Stitchbury there doing a little bit of almost two-wheeling action. I think he's just trying to escape the circuit. Isn't that what we have been familiar with? Certain drivers in the Evolution Sim Racing, isn't it? Trying to, is it one of the Breitenbach?
Yeah, Jean Breitenbach.
Jean Breitenbach, yes.
Yeah, usually finds somewhere to hide around the circuit while the qualifying session is coming to an end. They have lone qualifying there, and he tends to find a place to stick the car or hide it somewhere, and then he will pop out at the very end of the session. There goes practice then, all complete. Now the drivers will have a 15-minute quali here, and basically, sorry, a 10-minute quali, but it's not a lone qualifying session. They will all be on the circuit together, which will make this even more spicy because, you know, it's not as if the evening was not spicy enough already. Let's wait for them all to head out then. See who's going to be the first one to pop up on our screen. It's Taylor Adams. Of course it is. It's always Taylor Adams, isn't it? Even from the SRM GT4 Challenge days, he has always been one of the first cars to head out on the circuit. Let's listen.
Okay. Beautiful, beautiful noise, isn't it, of the Clios rasping their way out onto the race circuit. Really does have that sort of club racing feel, isn't it, when you hear all of those engine notes making their way out onto the circuit. This is a driver that we haven't seen for a while, is it, Chaz? Jack Werrell.
No.
On our screens.
It's lovely to have Jack back with us. He's wearing this beautiful Castrol livery as well, which is synonymous with the Clios. Renault and Castrol work together a lot on their racing series, and as part of the standard sticker pack on the Clios in iRacing, you do get Castrol logos on it. But yeah, some of the top teams always run Castrol liveries in Clio Cup Europe, so it's fantastic to see that Jack is embracing that. He's running his Castrol ESR tonight as well, so he's going to have Castrol liveries on everything, I believe, as his night goes on. Just seeing if there's anyone else we've not looked at just yet. Now we've got more cars on track. Fraser Smith. Fraser's running some interesting sort of historical liveries in this one. We've also got Arthur Thurtle there of Altitude Esports just in front of him, but you can see that Fraser running the old Williams, the Cannon livery as well. I love that livery on that car. It's a very interesting one to have.
Yeah, especially on a Renault Clio. It doesn't quite necessarily fit the body shape. You can see sort of the more boxy elements on the sides, but it is still a very iconic little bit of paintwork, isn't it, regardless? Love the way that the Altitude Esports drivers have managed to adapt their livery to the Renault Clio. You can see, I believe that is Arthur Thurtle just up ahead. Arthur's a really quick peddler in pretty much anything, so he's certainly a driver to keep an eye on here tonight. Well, I do think it's going to change around a lot over the night in terms of what drivers are more familiar with, aren't we? I'm really excited to see how a lot of these drivers that are more used to tin tops get on in the open wheelers of the Formula Ford.
Yeah, that's the thing. One of the key elements of tonight is the fact that they have three very different cars to go after. You know, the Clio, you can kick its head in, you can lob it about quite a lot. The Formula Ford, I mean, I must admit, when doing some testing for it to get the car out there on the circuit and, you know, put it on track for a thumbnail, it's an absolute riot to drive the Formula Ford. I love the thing. The first time I had to go in it, I thought, this is the worst car I've ever driven. You know, I'm not going to enjoy this one bit. But it was absolutely mega fun. You always feel like you're completely sideways and it's going to spin. You've just got to judge whether it's actually going to or not. Ryan Stitchbury then, first time on the board that puts anybody on pole, but look at that. 81 thousandths. Oh, never mind. Fraser Smith goes fastest by nearly 3/4 of a second. There was 81 thousandths there, separating the top 5 drivers for a second. Less than a tenth in these Clios. And that's going to be the theme here. One make racing, always very entertaining, Ed, but it's going to be mighty, mighty close tonight to keep an eye on all of these drivers and see who can make it count throughout the entire evening.
Yeah, I know you actually asked me about drivers to sort of predictions, and we got completely sidetracked, I think, by Ryan Stitchbury on 2 wheels earlier on. Now to get back to that point, as we are starting off with the beginning of qualifying here, I've got a feeling Ben Childcraft could be a driver to keep an eye on. He tends to be very consistent, and I think the way that this format is going to work out with the massive reverse grid changes, I think that's going to really help him out over the course of the night, just being able to constantly bag those sort of top 10s, maybe creeping up, sort of averaging maybe a top 6 over the night. That could well be enough to round out the winner here, because I don't know really, obviously you know a bit more than I do of how the night goes on, but I think consistency is really going to help out drivers and could bring for a surprise result come the end of the night.
Yeah, definitely. I think another driver as well in a similar bracket to Ben, who he's raced with for a long, long time as well, and we've both raced against before, is Mike Murphy. Car number 2 in this one. I know some of the drivers over the course of the evening will change numbers, unfortunately. It seemed from the results that some of the numbers didn't stick or they'd signed into the session before they could be changed. But Mike Murphy, graciously, thank you Mike, racing for Sponsex CDM Esports on the night. He's another driver that can be mighty quick in really random cars. So I'm excited to see how Mike gets on. And also a consistent one from the GT3s that we had in the SRM GT3 Winter Tour is Matt Hoyland. Matt Hoyland running as teammates with Francois Brandet for Dexterous Motorsports. And, well, as crikey, it's the Rosas. But I think Matt's got consistency. You know, look at what he did with that Mercedes later on in the season. You know, he had a lot of top 10 finishes under the radar. He had a theme of being the most lonely driver on the circuit, but he could make it work in something like this tonight, surely.
Yeah, he definitely could be. Another one as well, Joe Glass in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 League that we broadcast on iRacing, Chaz. He's another driver to keep an eye open on, because I know when he was in the Porsche, he was always really consistent up at the very top end of his class, and while he wasn't necessarily the fastest driver, that was what helped him so much in the championship. Seeing some more times come through, and it is Arthur Thurtle leading the way ahead of Fraser Smith. And then we come to Tom Stanley. Love that beautiful Prestander Nomad livery.
Nils Core as well, let's not forget. Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge champion in the past. Certainly got a lot to prove here this evening, has Nils, to uphold some honour. Arthur Thurtle, recent winner of the SRM GT3 Winter Tour by Derbyshire Holiday Homes. He will be, off the back of that, aiming to win this as well. I mean, the Winter Tour effectively counted as a special event because it's not one of our sort of mainstay series. So, yeah, I think Arthur would be potentially the first ever driver to win back-to-back specials if he wins here this evening. But obviously it's a lot more difficult than just winning one race. You've got the 3 to contend with, as Heinz Mayer contends with the grass for just a second. Have a look at Chris Humphreys as well, see how he's getting on. He's a little bit off it at the moment. 9/10 off Kim Such. He's got one of the Rosers cars behind him. Jan Stitchbury goes third fastest. Chris just getting his eye in here, I think. Just trying everything he can. Runs a little bit wide on the exit of turn 1. And that, I think, is France. No, that's actually Matt Hoyland going past him, car 23. Francois Brandet running in car number 28. No lap on the board yet for Francois. He has said in the chat, though, as a bit of a spoiler, that he pleads guilty for... Oh, no, this was earlier. He says he may not have missed half of quali because of an emergency restroom break. So, he's trying.
He's back out here now,
Yeah.
so he's shed some weight. So that's going to help him out. All these little minutiae that the drivers try and do. He's going to hope that will help him out. At least he's got his focus 100% now on the racing at hand.
Never mind.
Never mind that.
You thought so.
Actually, yeah, you would have hoped so.
You would have thought so. Interested to see what Marco Farini makes of this evening on his debut in SRM as well, the Italian driver in the Ingano Motorsport livery. A very matte red machine. It almost looks like a sort of a Ferrari team wear sort of thing, doesn't it? With the red and the matte black, and obviously the very obvious Italian tricolor down the side of it as well. And the OCA branding on the bonnet. Got Lee Berridge as well in this striking boosted motorsport car. I was telling my girlfriend Charlotte just yesterday how Boosted have always got really exciting liveries on them. And, I mean, this is another one where even the spec map to go with it as well, absolutely stunning.
Yeah, really nicely worked there by Boosted.
Lee automatically wins the night as well for having gold wheels.
Oh,
and
yes.
like natural looking gold wheels, like they've been done well. Like, there's no mucking about there. Lee automatically wins.
Yeah, it's not sort of horribly in your face, is it? It does look like it's almost like a thing that they would have in a normal race series, isn't it? Where I used to know in some race series, not necessarily big official ones, but things that I remember going to as a kid, like Banger Racing, like the champion would always have their like number on the side in like a bright reflective gold, or like
Yeah.
vice champion in silver and things like that. So you'd always know who to keep an eye out for, who's actually good at this and who's just there to knock 7 bells out of the others.
Well, that's one thing I really love in motorsport. I mean, growing up with the British Touring Car Championship, you know, drivers had to wear their finishing position from the year before as their number in the following season. And I loved that because drivers had different numbers every year. And sure, you know, drivers these days, they have their own identities, they have their own brands and so on to keep up with their numbers. Jan Stitchbury throwing us off here by being car 20 with a massive number 8 down the side of it. But I think it's better that drivers sort of get given a number so you know who to keep an eye on through that. I think that's really cool. But, you know, I mean, I know for a fact Fraser Smith has always run number 67. I don't think I've ever seen him in a different number. Thurtle always number 70. Ben Chalcraft usually number 8, but Joe Glass has nicked that this evening. You know, there's a lot of drivers that always run the same numbers. So, yeah, it's cool to see them hold that. Looks like Arthur Thurtle is going to take pole position here as the session will now complete. And... oh, I don't know if they'll get time to finish this current lap that they're on.
I do, because I don't think it's a heat racing format, is it? Because we
No,
jump
it's
over to
not.
the next, the reverse grid. While it's obviously a reverse grid, it would normally be a sort of heat style format. We switch over to a different track and a different car completely. As I think that was that Yan getting held up just a touch into the final chicane.
A touch by Such.
Yeah.
Kim Such there. Crossed the line and didn't improve there. It's actually ended up putting Marco Farini in a Orris Racing sandwich there. Lee Berridge across the line just in the background. He did not improve on his lap time. I think Nils Kaur, well, maybe not like that, will be the next improvement. I think Nils Kaur and Dennis Van Beelen have had a little bit of a coming together there. Tends to be a theme with the chicane guys. They don't take it too seriously, so they might have a little bit of damage here and there. As we see them, as Nils lobs it off the circuit. Taylor Adams has crossed the line. 14th for Taylor Adams. That's very surprising, isn't it, Ed? We would have expected to see Taylor right at the sharp end of things, but then again, that's one of the exciting things about this. These might be cars that these guys just don't drive, so they could all just be learning on the fly.
Yeah, it could really turn out for them to be a bit of a bogey car, but it's certainly not one for Arthur Thurtle. Like we mentioned, quick in pretty much everything he gets behind the wheel of, and will be on pole position for the first race of the night. But what a front row it is between himself and Fraser Smith right up there.
Yeah, definitely two absolute superstars. Ian Stitchbury and Mike Murphy up there. Tom Stanley, Nils Kaur. Dan McCauley got his Kachow Hooters into 7th place ahead of Joe Glass. It's going to be very, very interesting this to see who manages to make the most of this first race and make sure that they're not on the back foot going into the later part of the evening. Very quickly through the grid then for the first race in the Orris Analytics Club Racing Fest by SRM Events. Arthur Thurtle and Fraser Smith on the front row, Ian Stitchbury and Tom Stanley on row 2, followed by Nils Kaur and Dan McCauley. Then it's Joe Glass and Mike Murphy, Jack Werrell in the top 10 ahead of Matt Hoyland, Lee Berridge and Chris Jennings alongside each other on row 6. Then it's Ben Chalcraft and Taylor Adams with Dennis Van Beelen alongside Simon Price, Heinz Mayer and Marco Farini on row 9, Kim Such and Chris Humphreys round out the 20, Francois Brandet is 21st, and it looks like Russell Clark is not taking to the start here. I believe, if I recall, he had an issue with one of his pedals, so did not take to the start of the race. So, Ed, our first time ever together commentating on Clio racing. If we've seen Clios before, this is going to be an absolute barnstormer of a race. So, the revs will rise, the lights will come on, and the first race of the night in the Orris Analytics Club Racing Fest is underway as, there's a car not got away and there's contact. Is that Nils Kaur? Nils Kaur it is. He's been absolutely battered by, I think, Jack Werrell. There's more contact and Simon Price goes across into the barriers. Look like two cars from the same team hit each other there, the two Spontex cars. We go to the front though, and Fraser Smith and Arthur Thurtle are side by side down the hill already. They've got Ian Stitchbury right behind them, hoping to get a front row seat of this. Already very Clio-like before turn 1, Ed.
Here we go, Ian in the best seats in the house to watch this as they go through the old hairpin now. He's going to have a great run. It's all about momentum in these things. They don't have the biggest grunt, so it's just carrying the speed up the hill. It's worked a treat for Ian, who's now right up alongside of Arthur Thurtle, who loses out to the race lead from Fraser Smith. Fraser's clear, and Arthur's able to defend just about from Ian, who's looking every which way he can to get through. Great start from Dennis Van Beelen, actually, who's up 6th place. The same with Heinz Meyer. He's up 7. Chris Jennings, this is him. We can see him now just tussling away with Francois Brandet. There's coming together through the right hand of it. Tell you what, well done. They've, by and large, been a clean getaway, apart from the guy that was stationary at the very start.
Yeah, Nils Kaur didn't move. It looks like Lee Berridge is out as well with the damage. On board with Taylor Adams here as, lock up, and they've all gone straight on. That's Simon Price across the grass. Francois Brandet and Chris Jennings away as well. Moving further up the order, Dan McCauley's just nabbed 3rd place. It looks like, actually, Fraser Smith has lost a bunch of positions. Don't know if he went off the circuit or whether he got a slowdown penalty or something, but that's given Arthur Thurtle a run. Fraser Smith now all over the back of Tom Stanley. Dan McCauley's Hooters machine in there as well. This is, it's balmy as we expected, isn't it?
This is absolutely bonkers as per Joe Glass now. He's going to have a lovely little run uphill if he can find a way through. 2 wheels on the grass, 4 wheels on the grass, cutting his way through. Now the inside line for this left-hander will soon become the outside line for the following right. It's Chris Humphreys. He's had a little bit of trouble, hasn't he, going through the old hairpin. Tom Stanley, looking very nice, isn't he, in that Stanley Memo car, and so far so good, staying in 4th place. Joe Glass for Glass Tech Racing in the Duff beer machine, struggling a touch, isn't he, around the outside.
Just seen one of the best comments I've ever seen from Francois Brandet, calling him Joe Grass instead of Joe Glass. There's Tom Stanley, I think, with a slowdown. 3 wide, that's not going to work. Dennis Van Beelen on the brakes, goes straight over the chicane. We're going to see a lot of that. We are going to see a number of them doing that. I think Dan McCauley went off the circuit there as well. So too Fraser Smith. God, that's only 2 laps. We've now got Arthur Thurtle leading the way. Lee Berridge just come back out the pit lane. He's decided to pull it over and move out the way. Fair play to Lee. But wow, Dennis Van Beelen now ahead of Tom Stanley. How's Tom ended up down in 9th position? That's absolutely balmy. He's lost so many places. I don't understand. He was right up there before, but through all the shenanigans, he's just gone absolutely backwards. He's side by side now with Dennis Van Beelen. I don't know what variation of the little Tykes car that is. Either way, it's one that's entering the Paris-Dakar as he goes off. It's close back here now. Taylor Adams on the back of Marco Farini. He's also got Kim Such right ahead, and here comes Van Beelen. Oh my god, I don't know where to look, to be honest, Ed. There's battles everywhere, and we've only done 2 laps.
Free lineup move around the outside. He's got enough of an overlap, but just can't quite get the car turned in. And Taylor Adams, great opportunities. And now look at Farini. He's completely boxed in, nowhere to go.
That's lovely by Taylor.
Absolutely
Really lovely by Taylor. He's mugged them both off there. Now here comes Ben Chalcraft. Can he get the run? He's actually giving a bit of a flash to Marco, then side by side down towards the chicane. Who's going to be bravest on the brakes? I don't think it's going to be Marco. Taylor around the outside. He gets it done. Dennis Van Beelen watching all of this from the back. It's incredible. Jan Stitchbury into the pits. He's decided to spice his own race up here. Either that or he's somehow already at the incident limit of 15. God knows. Matt Hoyland, though, by the way, 3rd place. He's gained 7 spots. Phenomenal.
Wow, brilliant start for Matt Hyland. Dan McCauley as well. Nice and consistent for him so far. Nice, careful getaway sees him up in 4th place. Mike Murphy, a driver that you singled out, has had a really nice start as well, up into 5th place. Just trying to see where my pick was. Ben Chalcraft, he's in 11th, just behind Marco Farini. Obviously, we saw Ben pushing Farini along, trying to see if he could maybe get a position as a result. You can see these two side by side. Is he going to be able to do what Taylor Adams did the lap before and take advantage? Not quite. The two ahead go side by side still.
Oh.
And then slot back in. And that caught Farini off a little bit there, I think. And now Ben Chalcraft says, thank you very much. I'm taking that and going to hopefully disappear off into the sunset.
Oh, Dan McCauley nearly hits the sunset and then goes full Icarus through the final chicane. And he's got Mike Murphy right up his trumpet, then Joe Glass, then Tom Stanley. The top 2 are the only drivers that are currently in the positions they started. Arthur Thurtle leading the way. Fraser Smith has managed to somehow claw his way back up into 2nd position. Jan Stitchbury saying he got a drive-through for creeping forward on the grid, which explains that. He's now got to make his way back through the order. We know how fast Jan is. We've seen him in many series before. Not a driver to hold back whatsoever either. So he is definitely going to charge his way back through the order. Now, just to clear this up as well, everybody, I'd love to take a look back at that start, but the last time I ran a replay or ran a broadcast from a replay, when we clicked live, it just went to the end of the replay, like it really shouldn't. It should go back to where we were. But I'm not risking it at this stage. Now we've got things underway. But we could see that it was Nils Kaur, didn't get away. Lee Berridge hit the side of him, hit the wall, and then damaged his car. And then, yeah, as he came back onto the middle of the circuit through no fault of his own, I mean, the steering wasn't working at all, he then had contact with 2 of the Spontex cars, which I think is what's given Ben Chalcraft a bit of damage as well. Kim Such, I mean, look at Simon Price's Clio back there. It's straight from the scrapyard, isn't it? It's like something out of Wreckfest, watching Simon Price's hedgehog machine come towards you.
Get a great view of iRacing's work that they do under the hood to model every last little bit. Great little bit of advertising, isn't it? As you can just see. Every last component modelled there in excruciating detail for Simon Price, as he's going to be hoping to, well, probably switch out of the Clio sooner rather than later, because that is not going to be feeling too comfortable. Drivers, Ben Chalcraft's off into the gravel. Oh dear, we were just pointing how consistent he is, and all of a sudden that is seemingly not being the case tonight. Again, side by side, Dennis Van Beelen and Marco Farini.
Still somehow side by side. Dennis was really courteous there, actually. He gave loads of space around the outside. I need to go back to the front of the grid, though. Fraser Smith here in 2nd position, nowhere near Arthur Thurtle. I mean, Arthur's had this race absolutely handed to him by the battles behind, but, you know, that's not without saying that his pace isn't incredible. Arthur, as we know, is very consistent, very quick all of the time, and right now he's leading this bunch by over 5 seconds. Then it's Fraser Smith, Matt Hoyland, Dan McCauley and Mike Murphy on his debut for Spontex CDM Esports. Mike flying the flag at the minute, and he's right up behind that very distracting owl of Dan McCauley. Not sure it's half as distracting as the reason that Hooters exists, but still, we've got Mike inside the top 5, and you can see the majority of that top 5 all in one little train here, Ed. Great stuff.
Yeah, this is what the Clios are best at, really, aren't they? There's nice tight pack battling. Brings some excellent racing, but means that the drivers can't really afford a mistake, because they'll just get swallowed up and last, left, right and centre. Murphy now, he's got a lovely run coming out of the corner, trying to find a way through on Dan McCauley, looking to the outside. He's going to slow up just a touch because Dan's getting a bit of slipstream from Matt Hoyland up ahead, and again the overlap just vanishes through that left-hand kink before the longer right-hander.
Taylor Adams and Yain Stitchbury getting acquainted with each other as well. Two very, very quick drivers having a good old battle. Taylor's actually gained 5 places in this race so far. Big hats off to the series and event sponsor, Heinz Mayer, for Orris Racing, Orris Analytics. He's actually gained 9 places in this race so far. So too is Francois Brandet. That's committed, isn't it? He's committed to be ahead of Farini, Chalcraft and Jennings as well. They're all having a bit of a ding-dong. Look at this. Jennings and Chalcraft once again side by side. I tell you what, Ed, I think my nerves had been bits knowing how many times these guys are going side by side down towards the chicane with no ABS.
It's something that we say often, isn't it, Chaz, that the slower the cars, the better the racing, and it is really bringing us some box office stuff. Chris Jennings, look, he's got a slight little run. You can just see him edging further and further alongside every metre towards the braking zone, just helping Chris out that little bit more as he tries to find a way ahead of Ben Chalcraft, sorry, but no doing. But he is the, filling of a Spontex CDM Esports sandwich. Ben Chalcraft and Simon Price right up there with him. This was Dan McCauley getting past, was it in the end, by Mike Murphy. Well, it's actually Mike Murphy, I think, tries staying ahead rather, isn't it?
No, Mike got around him there as Dan had a slowdown penalty. Dan, I think, maybe running a little bit wide at the old hairpin, cost him a spot as Farini and Brandet are swapping around quite a lot here. The Frenchman having a go at the Italian. One tricolore goes around the other. Francois goes up into 12th position. Back into 12th position, I imagine, because he was ahead of that group earlier, wasn't he? It's incredible how quickly the positions go one way then the other in this race. I mean, we're going to have to do more with the Clios going forward as Hoyland is off in the final corner now. Now Mike Murphy gets another freebie handed to him, does he? Does he? They're side by side down towards turn 1. Hoyland on the inside in the matte blue Rosers thing. I painted both of these cars. He's down the inside of the Spontex car. Murphy not going to give up though, is he? We know just how quick Mike is. We've raced against him before, or by that I mean we've watched him drive past. Love the look of these Clios as well though. I think the later versions of them are such a good looking little race car.
They are really nice. Also actually good just road cars in general. They are built pretty nicely.
Yeah, sturdy, aren't they?
Yeah, trying not to be too biased, as a good friend of the family is someone who works at Renault and does help us out with getting Renault cars, so it is something we've always had in the family, but they are very, very nice bits of kit, to be fair. It's going to be my first car, actually, before I moved up to Manchester and didn't need to have a car at all.
Fair
play. Too expensive for me. But here we go. Enough about my personal life and more about this excellent racing. Chris Jennings once more. He gets the run out of the corner, but just can't find a way past. Great little cover to the inside from Ben Chalcraft. But Ben's now got a roadblock, hasn't he? The Rosers have started to form a bit of a barricade with himself and Marco Farini, Francois Brandet, side by side. The Italian just edging ahead of the Frenchman.
Someone call Rooster Teeth because it's red versus blue. Ben Chalcraft very sideways. How on earth did he save that? Because normally in a front wheel drive car that rear end would be fully around and gone. These are battling again. This is absolutely epic. Honestly, this is absolutely phenomenal racing from these little Clios. And you know what? I expected something like this as, you know, commentating on Clio Cup Europe in the real world for 2 years. We had 50 car grids in the wet at Monza, and they were just as exciting as this. But even in the sim, what an absolute little pocket rocket of a race car. But fantastic respect by all these guys. We've not seen anything silly at all. Because usually, I mean, you know, we can both vouch for this, Ed, with no disrespect to those that, you know, frequent the TCRs on iRacing, but often in touring cars, you know, because they can withstand a bit more contact, people take less care and it can get a little bit scrappy and a bit messy. But this is just beyond brilliant, this at the moment, isn't it? Really tidy stuff.
It's the perfect advert for SRM. It's the culmination, isn't it, of this community that has been fostered over the years here on iRacing. And just it's all come together that the racing is really respectful because all the drivers are well aware of each other. They know them. They're friends outside of the racetrack. And it means that they're more likely to, I guess, be a bit more measured and a bit more thoughtful in terms of how they approach things. It is just a one-off special event, but that doesn't mean the drivers are just throwing it just out the window and treating it like it's nothing. They are really out here to have proper good racing, and it is showing then some and more, because wow, what a sort of race this has turned out to be already, and there's still, what, 6.5 minutes to go.
I don't want it to end.
No.
Francois Brandet saying that all he wants to do is look at Simon Price's car. We can do. We can look at what's left of it anyway. It's absolutely battered at the front. This is the Superleggera, as they would say in Italy anyway, but funnily enough, it's not an Italian car, so shut up, Chaz. He's actually got Francois Brandet right behind him at the moment as well, having a look around the outside, swooping up towards McLean's. I was just going to have a look at Matt Hoyland, though, Francois Brandet's teammate, because he has moved up 7 positions, 10th on the grid, into 3rd. He's best of the rest at the moment, 4.5 seconds behind Fraser Smith, who is then 5.5 seconds behind Arthur Thurtle. Arthur making an absolute example of this at the minute. Great consistency and great speed. Hats off to Fraser Smith, though, because he's keeping him honest. And let's not forget that Fraser earlier lost a bunch of positions through all of that scrapping, so he's having to stay up there as best he can and work hard to be in that position. Dan McCauley's working hard as well, with Stanley and Murphy ahead of him. Murphy's trying to put Hoyland under pressure. Joe Glass is not disappearing out of the rearview mirrors. It's just constantly battles everywhere, and they're always developing and changing.
Yeah, it's, again, one of the best aspects of club racing that's been translated brilliantly into the Orris Analytics Club Racing Fest, is just about how there are battles everywhere you look up and down the field. You get these sort of packs that start to form, and their battles are probably some of the best you will ever see. It's a brilliant advert, isn't it, Chaz, I think, for these lower powered cars that's on display already here. And well, the night is only just getting started as Ben Chalcraft once more is with the Italian sparring partner of Marco Ferrini. Marco able to keep ahead this time by.
Only just
Once more, it's this trio, isn't it, that's just been at each other since, well, pretty much the start of the race.
Oh, these two are at each other now. Simon Price and Francois Brandet. Francois trying to commit him back to the scenery is, oh dearie me, boys. Oh dearie me. Simon would flash the lights if he had any bulbs left. But now we're side by side further up. You can see as well, I love the smoke that comes off the back of them as they sort of hang the inside rear wheel in the air. You could see it on Marco Ferrini's car a minute ago. The tyre writing just stops as they head into McLean's because that right rear just floats off the surface. And I tell you what, I don't know what order this battle has been in or what order it's going to finish in either, because this quartet has been one of the absolute highlights of the race. Matt Hoyland, Mike Murphy, well, it's a quintet now, isn't it? Tom Stanley, Dan McCauley and Joe Glass as well. These lot have been racing so closely, so frantically, but they've just kept it so tidy.
Yeah, it's been a real treat so far. Dan McCauley, again, just being nice and careful, knowing that there's still a long way to go tonight. I think the race victory is a foregone conclusion. We haven't actually seen much of our race leader, have we, Chaz? Arthur Thurtle, who is nearly 6 seconds clear up the road. Doesn't have really anyone. You can just see him at the front of your shot now, coming out of the final chicane. As these drivers make their way into it again, really just attacking the curbs. Wonderful, isn't it, just to see him get onto 2 wheels.
It's just mega. It's just a great little, like, it's a chunky little sturdy race car, isn't it? It's a proper little tank. And that's what I love about them, you know, the amount of times where I've been commentating on them in the real world, and you know, they've come back with bumpers missing and wheels bent and windows smashed in and all sorts, and they just carry on. They just carry on. They have some mighty accidents, but they still somehow make it to the end of a race. Mike Murphy is after a podium finish here. He's all over the back of Matt Hoyland in front of him. The two of them have raced together in some series over in ESR, but this is a real head-to-head now in the little Clios. The Rosas machine ahead of the Spontex CDM Esports car. Again, I want to personally give a big thanks to Mike for running the colours on the evening. It was great to have Mike as a last-minute entry to the event. He's been in many GT4 Challenge series before and been great in those. Is down the inside, nice and respectful. Make sure that he doesn't smack into Hoyland's police car at the end of the day. You don't want to upset the gendarmerie. But this is just, yeah, epic. Dennis Van Beelen saying it right. In these cars, if you still have wing mirrors at the end, you're racing them wrong. I remember commentating on a race at Hockenheim in 2021, and there was a car with both wing mirrors just hanging off the tethers by the end of the race. They're flopping around like a pair of spaniel's ears in the wind. Dan McCauley's dropped a bunch of positions here, actually. Ian Stitchbury's got past him now, and Taylor Adams is all of a sudden all over the back of him. I think he might have had a slowdown penalty because it said he went off the circuit for just over a second on that previous lap. But we do need to keep an eye.
Saying about Dan as well. He was having a nice measured race.
Yeah,
all of a sudden, we look away, we look back to him, and yeah, he's maybe not quite as measured as much.
He'll blame the sunburn.
Yeah, measuring in inches rather than centimetres there, I think.
There you go. Tom Stanley now all over the back of Mike Murphy and Matt Hoyland. He's thinking, if this goes to pot, then I'm going to grab a position here and I'm going to be in quids in here. It's about a minute and a quarter lap, which means we're going to have only one more lap left in this race, and that makes me incredibly sad because this has been one of the best races I've ever covered. There's just so much going on. Look at that great opportunism that by Tom Stanley down the inside of Mike Murphy on the exit of Coppice. Now this is perfect for Matt Hoyland because these two have got to figure this out by the time they get to this chicane. Who's going to be the first one to break? They are in a dead heat at the moment as well, so no driver is the one behind thinking, no, after you, sir. They're going to go for it side by side. Stanley up in the air, and then Mike Murphy has to back out of it, and look at that. That's given Hoyland, I mean, in Clio terms, that's an absolute age, that gap that he's got there. That's 0.8 of a second, but one more lap to go. I mean, Arthur Thurtle's already halfway round it, to be honest, Ed. Over 6 seconds clear. Fantastic drive, this.
Yeah, and I thought what was Arthur Thurtle was actually Fraser Smith a few laps ago up ahead. Arthur Thurtle is just checked out from the beginning of this race. He had a little bit of a side-by-side, didn't he? Fraser Smith got ahead for a moment, but Arthur was able to fight it back and come through with a commanding race victory. And obviously, we're trying to point out some outside shots for the evening, but I think the bookies' favourites will have to be one of those pair, Arthur Thurtle and Fraser Smith, really comfortable in the Clios. But again, we might find an Achilles heel here tonight in maybe the Formula Ford or final car, the MX-5, as there's again hanging and barging Tom Stanley and Mike Murphy. Joe Glass there, he's getting ready to try and glass someone if he can to get up ahead into 5th place, if that's what it takes.
And Arthur Thurtle wins. He takes the first win of the night in the Orris Analytics Club Racing Fest by SRM. Fraser Smith finishes in 2nd, and what a drive by Matt Hoyland. A podium after starting 10th on the grid. He'll be buzzing with that, and you can see that he is. Tom Stanley next up ahead of Mike Murphy and Joe Glass. Then Ian Stitchbury, good recovery from him. Dan McCauley in 8th place. Taylor Adams 9th. Heinz Meyer gets a top 10 in this one. Dennis Van Beelen has 4 places gained to the end, and just in the background they're going to have a run to the line. Ferrini ahead of Chalcraft and Jennings. Who's going to win that one? Chalcraft just gets it ahead of Kim Such and Simon Price. Francois Brandet is just about to come round and finish the race. We'll keep an eye out for him. I think after him it's going to be Chris Humphreys, who's going to be 1 lap down in this one, but he will be, I'm sure, over the moon to at least finish. Francois hops, skip and a jump, however you say that in French, in the in the wonderful language of French. Chris Humphreys out of the final corner, and across the line he goes, and he'll be over the moon. Absolutely over the moon to have finished that one. But Arthur Thurtle, well, what a drive to start the night, Ed. Absolutely electric stuff from the Clios. I want to do it again.
Yeah, that was brilliant to watch. There are some more excitement. There's some more excitement on its way, but I tell you what, that is the perfect way to start the race, isn't it, Chaz? To start the evening with, well, action that started and, well, didn't end and probably won't.
No, absolutely not. It's not going to go anywhere at all. So what we're going to do, everybody, is now just take a quick break here on Chaz Draycott Media. If you just bear with us for a few minutes, we're going to go and get into the other session. We'll run a quick advert break, go back to the thumbnail, and we'll be back in a few. See you in a sec. And look at Jochen Hahn and Antonio Albacete. The two of them go flying through the right-hand side, then the left-hand side. Jochen Hahn around the outside, and Lucas Hahn, no father and son, come together on the exit of turn 1.
And the best thing about this is the fact that it's still a 15-minute sprint race. They've not extended the time of the race. It's still just like, it's going to be, what, 7 laps of Spa for it to
We get to the real nitty-gritty of motorsport. Cranston and Snetterton side by side for the title in the very final race of the season. As they go back up the hill towards the Schumacher. Nils Core clips the back at 10. Simon Povey clips the side of Nils Core. They go over the hill and Povey's around.
Oh my god, that's going to definitely do the thumbnail when it hit me in the right direction.
Thank you so much.
23 cars.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
It's dawned on me that you ain't coming back. I've lost my chance to see us find our way back. And in the end, amidst these trying times, I'll always try to find you. I'll lie to you to find the truth that you hold back. So stay with me. You know that I'll follow.
Okay, hello everybody, welcome back. Chaz Drake and Ed May here for the second race of the evening in the Orris Analytics Club Racing Fest by Sim Racing Magazine Events. And, well, we're now moving from Donington Park to what is usually considered a bit of a boring circuit, Snetterton. Bit flat, but the 300 layout is going to be an absolute peach of a location, Ed, for the Formula Fords in this second race of the night. These are also cars that we've not commentated on before. What do you think we can expect from this lot now? Because, I mean, in the Clios, which we knew were exciting, they were great enough.
Yeah, I'm really just... I cannot believe what I've just witnessed. I'm lost for words, Chaz. I am completely and utterly, honestly, lost for words. And I do not know how we can top that, but you know what? Going to Snetterton in Formula Fords, that's a very good start.
It is, absolutely. It's going to be a belter, this one. So, Snetterton 300 layout and the delightful Formula Fords, everybody. Arthur Thurtle currently fastest in the practice session that we've got going on at the moment. Not long left on the clock for this one, but look at these little things. They are so, so cool. They really do rocket around this circuit. They're very loose. They're very wobbly. It is all about mechanical grip in this little car. They try and get loose and sideways everywhere you go, and I can tell you from driving it to get one on circuit for a thumbnail, it is an absolute hoot of a car. Speaking of, Dan McCauley is in a Lightning McQueen livery for this race, not the Hooters livery that we saw him in earlier. Jan Stitchbury is still in the Aura Motorsports machine. We do have, I think, Fraser Smith is in a different livery as well. He's in this sort of Spitfire, well, it may be a Spitfire, it may be a Hurricane, but he's in an RAF Invasion Stripes tribute, which is quite fitting considering that Snetterton was built on an old airbase. But Castrol as well, represented again with Jack Werrell in this delightful looking machine. Some great liveries out there tonight. It's nice to see it, isn't it?
Yeah, really lovely. Again, Chris Jennings in the camel livery machine.
It sounds so good, listen.
Sounds brilliant.
I don't know. With the onboard cameras don't do the rasp is just epic from the external cameras. Just listen to Chris as he goes past. It's so cool. Because it's quite an old school idea and an old school design is the Formula Ford, but this is obviously a modern take of it. This is the Ray GR22, so I believe it's a 2022 spec Formula Ford, so it's very much a modern race car. But, wow.
Listen to them both. It's wonderful.
It's like a squadron of underpowered Spitfires.
When they come out the pits as well for qualifying, that's going to be something as well.
Well, we don't have qualifying, remember. We have a
no,
complete reverse grid. No. Now, I was told this caught out some drivers on the night as well who expected to then have to go and do quali and were then scared absolutely to death by the fact that they were right at the front of the grid. It shows here Marco Farini on pole position, but that's definitely not the case. Marco Farini, as you can see on your screen, and the number 10 car there is actually further down the order. So we are going to have Arthur Thurtle at the back of the grid. And at the very front, who was it? Lee Berridge didn't complete the previous race, did he? So Lee Berridge should be the car on pole position for this one. And then with him, we're going to have Jack Werrell up there as well. Jack Werrell in the Castrol machine. Francois Brandet, Chris Humphreys near the front end of the order as well. It doesn't seem to like having the replay for the second grid. Anyway, as you can hear, the revs are rising, as are ours. And then as an anticlimactic launch, they're away! What a great noise that is!
Of raspy little Formula Fords making their way in towards turn 1. Lee Berridge leads the way. Jack Weller up the inside of Chris Humphreys there. You can see Niels Hoare making his way through. It's just action everywhere we look. Someone's exited off the circle on the right.
Oh, Dennis Van Beelen. Oh, no. He's been collected there, I think, by... Is that Tom Stanley? Who's that around? Farini's been off. Dan McCauley's off as well. Mike Murphy, yeah.
Murphy that was collected in.
Mike Murphy in there. I saw a Spontex livery. Oh, flipping heck, Mike around him. But Lee Berridge, he's going to be buzzing. He leads the race by some considerable margin. Oh, no. Chris Humphreys side by side with Jack Werrell for second place. Who's that in there with him? Nils Core as well. Not quite sure what livery that is that Nils Core's got in his car, but either way, he's having a bit of a wiggle here as he's side by side with Chris Humphreys round the outside through Hamilton's. You've got to be so careful in these cars because that suspension is made of liquid and it will fall apart if you so much as breathe on the other car a bit too hard. The 64 of Simon Price is amongst it as well. And then you've got Francois Brandet in there. Chris cuts to the inside. Look at that, 3 wide behind them. Kim Such in there, Jan Stitchbury and Taylor Adams.
That is... Yes, something.
Oh my God,
3 wide through Brundle and Nelson. They're going to try and make it 4 wide. Look at them all.
Fraser Smith on the inside there. He started right near the back of the grid, let's not forget. Oh, Chris Humphreys is around as a car with him. That is Simon Price. The two of them are off the road. Fraser's made it through. Simon Price has to now recover. He's got a few cars behind him further down. Nils Core's having a bit of a blink in and out. Werrell holding on to second, I was going to say. See how sideways he was round there then. But a perfect start for Lee Berridge. He's going to be absolutely loving this. He had a nightmare start to race 1, but look at this, he's gone. Oh, there's a car off. Oh, it's Fraser Smith.
Quite a few of them.
Smith is off. Francois Brandet is off. He's recovering. Oh, no. I daren't look.
Let's look from Farini. He's going to have a great view of this in towards turn 1. Le Roset's tandem into turn 1. And actually, Free's getting part of the mixture now. He's trying to find his way around the outside. There's a spinner off. That was Arthur Thurtle, the driver who won the first race of the evening. Off as Farini's doing a little bit of motocross. Francois Brandet's in the cabbage fields.
He's absolutely off in the grass. He's going to rejoin. Oh! What? Oh, Francois.
And he can't get it point the right way.
Oh, who was that came along? Was that Arthur Thurtle? Thurtle and Heinz Mayer come into shot, glued to each other. That's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Oh, goodness me, it's all kicking off. We've got Kim Such, 14 places gained apparently for him, as somebody's stopped. Oh, Farini's off. Marco Farini's gone grass tracking. Decides to jump back on. Werrell's now off as well. I mean, these cars are difficult to drive, but I expected spins. But yeah. This is, look at Hoyland and Chalcraft there. We'll go on board with Ben Chalcraft. We've not seen much of him in this race. We've not seen much of any of them because we've just been flitting through. This is just, I mean, the Clios were balmy, Ed, but these are even more balmy.
Yeah, this is something else. There's been a bit of grass cutting going on, but you need to go another 10 miles down the road to Thetford for that. That is absolutely bonkers all the way around here, but hopefully they're going to calm it down. No, they're not, Chaz, are they? They're not going to calm it down. It's all Jack Werrell.
Oh.
He's dropped all the way back now into the mid-pack. What's going on there? Lee Barrett continues to lead the way.
I've just seen the livery on Nils.
Yeah, I noticed that a while ago.
Oh no. Oh no, boys. I did wonder what it was.
We've got a race going on. We can't stop. Alright, Tom Stanley, go around the outside here of Iron Stitchbury in towards turn 1. Iron decides to call it a bit of a better cause of judgment to give that place up. Jack Werrell fighting his way back up through the order now.
Oh,
a
God.
bit more sideways action. These things are absolutely bonkers. Flippin' heck.
Do you think Nils core cracked under pressure?
Oh, I hope we don't see an implosion later in the race.
Berridge leads. Lee Berridge leads the race. Taylor Adams in second position. I tell you what, Tom Stanley, after nearly grabbing a podium earlier on, he's doing a cracking job in this next one as well. And to be honest, it's all about points over the course of the night, because let's not forget, with the reverse grid, you can destroy your race in just one moment. You can destroy your evening in one race. Arthur Thurtle, by the way, he's in the pits, he's out of the car. Arthur Thurtle, the race one winner, speaking of doing that, he's out of the race. So he will not be scoring points in this one.
He'll be able to get some good points, hopefully, in the final race in the MX-5s, but this is not what you want to have happen to you over the course of an evening, where it seems like consistency, if you can manage to find some, Lord knows where you'd find it here, if you can get some consistency, it'll be great for you, but at the moment, it's like
a lottery, isn't it, this?
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. But this is the thing, the format of the evening is working well like that already. I mean, it's the fact that, you know, they all want to score as many points as they can frantically in each race. With the reverse grid thrown in, that's obviously even more of a challenge from one race to the next. Fraser Smith is on an absolute mission in this car, though. Let's not forget that he started at the back of the grid, made it up into like the top 5 earlier. Then he had that incident. He was backwards at the final corner. Now he's already back up to 6th place. He's just done a 1:58.5. Taylor Adams was the only driver quicker with a 58.4 in second position. But yeah, Fraser Smith is on an absolute whirlwind. There was only 2 other drivers that went the 1:59s, Tom Stanley and Matt Hoyland. Marco Farini did as well, actually. We've got a car off at the back. Simon Price polishing his Steelies on the grass as Joe Glass decides to give him a bit of a fly past demonstration as well. Francois Brandet going through there too. But there's a good battle here, actually, as there might not be for much longer. Iron Stitchbury, God, on such a simple livery, actually. That 23 looks brilliant, doesn't it?
It does, actually. It looks like one of the older Formula 1 cars. Why is the name escaping
Prost.
now? Prost, that's it, yes.
It does. Look behind him, though.
Dark blue.
It's
my word.
The RAF. The RAF are here. Fraser Smith is absolutely on it. I cannot believe his pace in this car. We know Fraser's rapid. We commentate on him in the ESR GT3 Championship. We know Fraser is quick, but what is that about?
As LaRosas goes, it's the laws. The RAF goes steaming past now through Brundle and Nelson. That's 2 positions in one fell swoop. We forgot that he passed Iron Stitchbury and all of that.
Can we remember this is a fixed setup? How did he do that?
Some of the phrases not been telling us. Does he like moonlight as a Formula 4 driver? Is this like his bread and butter?
Yeah, that's incredible. Absolutely incredible. White Van Gaming with a great shout. That's Ben Shellcraft, by the way. The La Rosa's livery reminds him of the old Duckham's livery. You remember on the Ford Mondeos in the British Touring Car Championship?
Yes.
1997, that would have been. That was Will Hoy and Paul Radicic, if I remember rightly, for the majority. Fraser Smith, fastest lap of the race, doing that as well, a 57.8. That is 2 seconds quicker than the cars ahead of him. That is 2 seconds quicker than Taylor Adams. That is 3.3 seconds quicker than Lee Berridge on that lap. This is insane pace by Fraser Smith, who, let me remind you, started last, fell back to the back of the pack after making it halfway up, and is now up there in 4th place. What a drive.
Jack Werrell's had a bit of a moment. I think he's just dropped behind Nils Core and Mike Murphy.
Yeah, still having an issue.
Reenie's getting past as well. Back out onto the circuit. Looks like he may have been off again in the what is genuinely actually just a farmer's field as the runoff area for turn 1. I don't know if you actually have to reimburse the farmer if you actually end up in there and destroying his crops. I imagine there might be an agreement between the circuit and the man who owns the land.
Well, it's probably less than you'd have to pay Jonathan Palmer for ruining his grass.
Yeah, flipping it.
I was just thinking then, actually, I noticed earlier, if we look at Matt Hoyland, look at the lid that Matt Hoyland has got. He's got this lovely sort of yellow and carbon lid. I thought he'd sort of swap places with Marco Farini, who seems to be, well, one, off the circuit, but two, has the same helmet design, so they must have gone to the same guy on trading paints.
Must have done.
Meanwhile, Lee Berridge has been replaced by Nigel Mansell. At the front.
Seems like it. Although Taylor Adams, he's right there with him. Chased him down.
I like how Taylor's car looks like a proper privateer, just bought it on the cheap sort of thing. Like, it's just white. Well, it's got a little moustache on it, though, so it's in a tuxedo at least.
I'm going to say words right out of my mouth there. That is exactly sort of a quintessential club racing car there from Lee Berridge. I think he did say he was going to go for a more understated. Ooh, flipping heck. It's just an airplane crash if the two wheels touch, isn't it, in these things? They just get catapulted into the air. Lee Berridge, brilliant defence, but has he gone a little bit too deep? Yes. Going to run slightly wide. Ooh, very wide.
My days. That was, Lee was on the limit there.
Behind Fraser Smith.
He's caught Tom Stanley already. He's still side by side for the lead, by the way. Taylor Adams still trying it now on Lee Berridge, and he's got through this time round. As we head down towards Agostini, though, look at the slipstream in these things. It's like you suddenly gained 40 horsepower. It's absolutely mad, which takes the horsepower up to 45. Berridge deep on the inside. Look how sideways he is. He's still sideways, and Taylor Adams just grabs the lead. There's more battles behind as Ben Chalcraft tries to get one over on Jan Stitchbury as well. Sneak will be happy with that logo placement. But yeah, this is... I love this, Ed. We're only just over the halfway point. I don't know where 12 minutes has gone, but I'm loving this. Excellent, excellent fun. And that's what this event's all about.
Absolutely. I mean, we were in tears earlier. That's how much fun we were having in the booth, and these drivers were having that, and then some, I imagine, last night. It's great that we're able to have this, isn't it, Chaz? These as live broadcasts, because the drivers are able to watch their races as they're happening in front of their very eyes. They obviously know exactly what's happened, but it gives them an extra little dimension, which you don't quite get with the proper live broadcast, just watching them back. Ben Chalcraft once more, just, again, trying to focus on the exit, but not quite getting that on Jan Stitchbury. Again, Jan's been quite consistent as well, if memory serves right, over the course of the evening. So he could be a driver to keep an eye open for. Taylor Adams, he's going to be hoping to break away from Lee Berridge. But
not
again,
in the slipstream here, no chance.
Not in the slipstream, you're not going to.
Although he's going to get a bit of slipstream off Heinz Meyer. Heinz moves out of the way. And look at that, he tries to break the toe straight away to Lee. That's really, really quick thinking by Taylor Adams. But, we've seen Taylor, he thinks very quickly on the fly in these sorts of races. We've seen him win many strategical races in the SRM GT4 Challenge.
Mike Murphy is actually having a good sort of recovery drive. He was involved in an incident earlier, wasn't he? Nearly looped it around us.
That was Heinz around in the background.
Heinz around, yeah.
Yeah, we'll go and look at Mike Murphy. It's behind Nils Core in livery of the night. Oh, hello. Wow.
Oh, flipping heck. I thought he would have gone too deep, but again, that might have been a problem. There we are.
I hope he's not using a PlayStation controller. Anyway. Oh, no, he's hit him. Wait, what? Oh, no. Murphy, no. Mike Murphy the wrong way. I was going to look at Dan McCauley, Jack Werrell, Marco Farini. Dan and Werrell will go back a long way.
The bathtub on wheels instead of the bathtub underwater. My words. Marco Farini, here we go on Jack Werrell. But again, just Jack very
Jack on
smart
the
with his car
outside.
placement. Oh, he's overcooked it.
Oh, Jack. He's gone way too deep into there. But that's the thing, it's so easy to do in these cars. If you're braking while turning, they will over-rotate on you, and you can't trail brake very easily in them. You know, you have to commit so much to the steering input. But it's an absolutely epic car to drive. It's just the only caveat to it is the fact that you have to be so careful of contact. You know, even more so than any other open-wheel car you might drive. I'd like to point out that Fraser Smith was 2.1 seconds quicker than Lee Berridge on the last lap. He was also 1.8 seconds quicker than our race leader. Lee Berridge is doing an excellent job. He'll be much happier with this considering that his evening started with a DNF. But Fraser Smith is absolutely the class of the field at the minute. He is just zooming past everybody at this stage. It's mad. I mean, mind the livery, he's got War Extra Power underneath the hood of that thing, although it's not really got much of a hood, has it? It's just a bit of a tiny bit of aluminium sheeting. As he moves to the right, covers off Lee Berridge, who's very close with the nose underneath that car. You've got to be so careful with the front of these things. But we've seen from Lee before, he's not scared of getting close to other drivers. It's one of the things we enjoy about Lee, is that he's not scared to make moves. A bit further down the order, Francois Brandet and Chris Humphries side by side, cars 26 and 28. Francois around the outside in La Rosas. Just everywhere we look again, just like we had earlier, Ed, there's just battles constantly on this circuit. It's fantastic to watch.
Yes. Every single area of the circuit has got some bit of action unfolding. Ben Childcraft now, again, he's just struggling to find a way through on Jan Stitchbury. He's been having the view of that Formula Ford for quite a few laps now, and through Hamilton, cutting the inside. Very nicely done again. Just really pitching the car in nicely. I think a lot of the drivers that are more familiar with driving the open wheelers and drivers that have been with us on Draycott Media for stuff like Formula One really sort of at home, I think, in these things, because there's a sort of knack to driving an open wheeler that you don't quite have in a tin top.
Yeah, for sure. It's a completely different driving style, isn't it? Oh no, that's Chris Jennings off in the background. Chris way off, and he's disappeared. I'm wondering if he's maybe been disqualified, as Dan McCauley is now off. Oh, there's another car off with him. Oh, no, he's been hit. Who's that's just clipped him? Simon Price hits the back of him. And Dan's not moving. Oh, dearie me. Dan's out of the race by the look of it. Chris Jennings said his iRacing crashed. So that's him out of that one. Flipping heck. They're dropping like flies now all of a sudden. We've lost 4 drivers. Francois Brandet is back again off the circuit. He's having a fantastic time in the countryside, is Francois. Can't go off in the French countryside, so he's doing it in the British one. Matt Hoyland has just been overtaken by Jan Stitchbury, but he's going to want that position back in an instant. These guys have raced with each other for quite a while over in ESR. It's lovely to see some of the ESR guys coming over here. We've got some great characters. And again, just such a wonderful group of people to have together. Again, it just highlights the great community we've got at SRM, doesn't it, Ed? All these guys get on so well. They had such a laugh, and now we get to share it as live and have a laugh with them in the chat as well. This is mega.
This is brilliant stuff. Brilliant, potentially for the lead of the race as well. Taylor Adams and Fraser Smith now are nose to tail with 3 minutes to go, and Fraser, he has the pace, but Taylor Adams, he's got that in abundance as well. Just look though at how well measured he's got this car, just absolutely locked down, hitting every single apex, and just able to put the power down perfectly as well. He must be a Formula 4 driver in his spare time.
Yeah, it's just, the thing is with a car like this, you can manage it, you can slide it and still carry speed through a corner. But he's just got it figured out. I don't know if there's a certain thing where you shift earlier in this thing or what, because in the Clio, you have to shift very, very early. It'll rev to like 6,500 revs, but if you shift at about 5.5, then it's the fastest way of getting it to go in a straight line. A lot of the drivers were saying that on the night. I wonder if there's something similar here in the Formula Ford. You can also, by the way, see the Orris Analytics logo on the nose of all of these cars. Thanks once again to Heinz Mayer and Orris Analytics for being the title sponsor of this event, now known as the Orris Analytics Club Racing Fest by SRM Events. We hope you're enjoying the show, everybody, because Ed and I certainly are. Lee Berridge will be enjoying the show, same too with Tom Stanley and Jan Stitchbury. Both of these guys, or all of these guys, on for top 5s if they finish like this. But the battle is on for the lead now, Ed, and with it being just under 2 minutes a lap, ooh, are we going to get, if these two slow each other down enough, this will be the final lap. Otherwise, we're going to have one more by about a second.
Here we go then. Fraser Smith
that's
is
close.
ahead of Taylor Adams there, but Taylor's going to try and fight his way through all the way around the outside. He's got the overlap. Can he have car positioned on the outside? He's going to get muscled out of room there as Jan Stitchbury is now ahead of Matt Hoyland. Ben Childcraft just can't find a way through him.
No, he can't find his way past both of them. We'll stick with the race leaders, though. Taylor Adams now doing everything he can do to get back past Fraser Smith. He's filling his mirrors. Fraser's marched on forward through the order throughout this whole race, but now he's got to look in his mirrors for potentially the first time all race. Just gets such an easy run out there, and it's mad, isn't it? It is on a fixed setup, I can tell you that. Just don't know whether Fraser's brought the brake bias around or what to make it easier to manage. I mean, Taylor Adams carries a lot of speed in there. It's just the way that Fraser gets out of the corner and in a straight line. He's just got the gears figured out. Wonder whether it is a case of short shifting the thing and using a bit of lower down torque. Fraser moves to the right, then to the left. He doesn't know whether this is going to be the last lap. Neither does Taylor, neither do we. There could still be another circulation on the cards. Brundle and Nelson coming up, Ed.
Here we go. More action right at the very end here as Taylor Adams. He's just muscling the car. Look how much steering angle he's having to put on every single of it. It's the steering wheel left and right, left and right. Now it's all about trying to set it up. After you go through the bomb hole, it's just about that final corner and trying to get the run over the line. The slipstream is strong, but will it be strong enough?
Well, just looking there as a change of position as Childcraft has got ahead of Hoyland now. Childcraft has got ahead of Stitchbury. There's a car rejoining the circuit there. I think that's Chris Humphreys. Fraser's going to come to the line, and it's going to be the final lap. He's defended enough from Taylor Adams, and he takes the victory in race number 2. Adams on the podium this time round. Lee Berridge is going to take a podium. What a great turnaround that is from his first race of the night. And Hoyland is going to hold off Childcraft and Stitchbury to the end. That's a great, great effort, Sunshine. These two right up behind him in the end of that one. Kim Such is going to cross the line in 8th place. In a bit of a lonely position here, Ed, but he's going to be over the moon with that. Some big points for him.
Yeah, wonderful stuff there for Kim Such. Wonderful stuff for Fraser Smith, Taylor Adams. I mean, Fraser, he's really having a good time. Nils Corey managed to rise back up through the field. Unlike his livery,
You could
again,
see.
wonderful.
Oh, I'm going to get demonetised.
Wonderful race, though, wasn't it, by Nils? In spite of everything, he managed to come through it unscathed, thankfully.
Yeah, his performance wasn't dead in the water, was it? Fraser Smith takes the race victory then in race number 2. Ed and I will be back in just a couple of moments, everyone. We're going to have another ad break, another quick be right back, and we'll get into the final race of the night here in the Orris Analytics Club Racing Fest by SRM. And look at Jochen Hahn and Antonio Albacetti. The two of them go flying through the right-hand side, then the left-hand side. Jochen Hahn around the outside, and Lucas Hahn, no father and son, come together on the exit of turn 1.
And the best thing about this is the fact that it's still a 15-minute sprint race. They've not extended the time of the race. It's still just like, it's going to be, 7 laps of Spa-Francorchamps?
We get to the real nitty-gritty of motorsport. Cranston and Snetterton side by side for the title in the very final race of the season. As they go back up the hill towards the Schumacher. Nils Core clips the back at 10. Simon Povey clips the side of Nils Core. They go over the hill and Povey's around. Oh my god, that's going to definitely be the thumbnail when it hit me in the right direction. Thank you so much.
23 cars.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Hello again, everybody. Chaz Draycott and Ed May here for the final race of the night in the Orris Analytics Club Racing Fest by SRM Events. And that noise is a noise that's going to be familiar to many on iRacing. We are here with the MX-5s now at the Silverstone National Circuit for the final race of the evening. An incredible event so far, Ed, and to be honest, two very, very well highlighted drives by Arthur Thurtle in that first race at Donington Park in the Clios, but then Fraser Smith in the Formula Fords just then. That was ridiculous, that, wasn't it?
Yeah, we knew we'd see some drivers have cars that they really come into their own in, and I mean, Fraser Smith and that Formula Ford, they were the perfect pair. It was unreal seeing him carve his way through the field from what was essentially back of the field, wasn't it? He started, I think, second from last and ended up going his way all the way through the field with a spin as well. Let's not forget early on in the race out of the final corner.
Yeah,
to come through and win. That is unbelievable. But here we go, Chaz. This was the one race that I had sort of been really looking forward to. I've got a little bias towards MX-5s. They're almost my baby. I spent a good sort of couple of years when I first started on iRacing commentating on these cars through the British Sim Racing, the BSR MX-5s. I know that's something you're familiar with as well, Chaz. And it's something that really did get a great place in my heart because the racing on it was always just so intense and brilliant every single day. Every single time I got in the comments box, I knew I was in for a brilliant time. And I'll tell you what, I hope it's going to be no different here tonight because these MX-5s in iRacing are some of the best things you can drive, and it's no secret as to why, because they put you in these first thing as soon as you get into iRacing. You start in the Global Mazdas. It's a perfect car to sort of get adapted with, but at the very top level, the racing just takes on a whole different dimension, and these cars are suited perfectly for wheel-to-wheel combat.
And at a circuit like this here as well, at Silverstone National, they really do suit a little short, squirty circuit like this one, where there's a big long straight as well for some slipstreaming. There's not too many corners. A lot of it's quite high speed. This is going to be quite the chaotic finale, I feel, to this event. The grid, unfortunately, is going to do the same thing that it did just earlier on, so we will not be able to completely give you the grid as it will line up as a graphic. So we'll just look back from Chris Jennings, who's going to start near the front of the order. He's got Heinz Meyer behind him. You can see Jack Werrell there in the Castrol ESR machine. Then you've got the Spontex car in the background as well. That is, I believe, Mike Murphy in amongst all of that. You can see the grid just ready to get going right now. You can hear a little rev here and there. What on earth is that on the front row of the grid? That is, I believe, Joe Glass on the right-hand side of the grid in some sort of Flintstones livery. Yes, it is the Flintstones. That's atrocious, but also brilliant. Anyway, revs will rise. Arthur Thurtle on the front row, though, because he did not finish in the previous race. Surely this is going to be his chance to take a victory on the night. Some of the liveries will just load in last second. I do apologise for that. But let's get racing, shall we, for the final time this evening in the Orris Analytics Club Racing Fest. The cars aren't the most dramatic thing off the line, but they get moving, and it's side by side for second place already. Francois Brandet trying it round the outside. Dan McCauley sneaks up the inside into turn one. Chris Jennings going through there as well. Jack Werrell wants a piece of this. Dan McCauley going one way, then the other. Goodness me, it's already beginning here, Ed, as they go down towards the right-hander at Maggots and Beckett's.
Here we go, Heinz Meyer on board. As you can see, he's trying to find a way through. You've got Jack Werrell up there as well, getting into the mix a little bit, getting kicked up around the outside there. And that was by, is that Chris Jennings potentially?
Francois Brandet, that on the in the
Brandet,
blue car.
sorry.
3 wide though for that position now. Werrell stuck in the middle of it. Oh goodness me! It's close further back as well. Dennis Van Beelen down the inside there of the number 2 of Mike Murphy. We've got a car off. It's Kim Such. Kim Such is around, and there's more contact. Simon Price is off the road. Lee Berridge and Tom Stanley. Tom Stanley's been having a really consistent night as well. That's going to affect him big time. He's going to hope for a much better one in the rest of this race now. He's going to need to fight back from the front of the field. Oh my goodness me, it's a sea of them. Chris Jennings, Jack Werrell, and is that Heinz Meyer? 3 wide into turn 1. Oh my goodness me, I don't know how they all made it through there. There's more contact. Werrell involved in that as well. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness me. I don't know how they've all made it through there without further contact. We'll go back on board with Jennings. Have a look. Werrell's on his inside. Jennings has been clipped. Oh, and he's been hit as well. Oh, and more contact. That was Humphreys into him. Chris Humphreys is around and sideways. Oh, dearie me. That all went to pot for Jennings. He bounced off the side of the car on the outside, didn't he? And then got clipped as, avoidance there by Kim Such. And it looks like he's out of the race, Ed.
Yeah, unfortunately, it seems to be the case. Big shame. It's really lined up to be what could have been a great end to the evening. Arthur Thurtle, though, he's not actually having it all his own way because Dan McCauley's right up there with him.
Ka-chow.
Ciao, indeed. Right up there. He is going to hope to be speed up in towards turn 1 now. Yeah, quite the turn 1 that they have for the Grand Prix variant of the circuit. Going through Cops now. And the MX-5s like to stay very nice and close. You can see Dan McCauley's getting the run out of the corners. The slipstream helps him out as well. They're starting to break away a little bit from Joe Glass.
They are indeed, yeah. They're doing a wonderful, wonderful job. But look at this group here. Ryan Stitchbury there ahead of Dennis Van Beelen, Matt Hoyland, Mike Murphy in there as well with Fraser Smith and Nils Kaur. Fraser Smith literally is the Royal Air Force once again in this race. He's running on the outside now as Taylor Adams and Nils Kaur. God, how many times have we seen these two fight against each other in SRM? Now one's in a pink Mazda MX-5. This is not what we ever would have expected. Now it's side by side with Van Beelen and Hoyland. Front row seat goes to Mike Murphy. And you know what? You can see it there, a little bit of correction into Brooklands and into Luffield. These cars get very loose very easily. Werrell's run really wide over there. That's not quite the tongue twister I expected it to be. But these things really do get loose very easily, these MX-5s. You can't trust them too much.
Yeah, not got the most out of power, but they do put it down pretty well because they're so light. It's only a 2-litre engine, but just because it's essentially just the shell with a bit of scaffolding to sort of protect the driver's heads should they roll, it is deceptively very quick. But actually might be one of the quicker cars, I think quickest car actually of the night, Chaz.
Potentially, yeah, actually. That's not a bad shout at all. I think the Formula Ford cornering speed is there, but not the straight line speed. The MX-5 definitely has the grunt. We look back here from Marco Ferrini. He's got Ryan Stitchbury for company now. Ryan in the very shiny ORA Motorsports machine. So we've got OCA and ORA right next to each other at the moment, battling for supremacy. But Jack Werrell has fallen into the thick of this. He was the lead of this group before. Look at that, Fraser Smith and Mike Murphy leaning on each other there as they head around Luffield. I cannot believe how many of these there are together. This is Nils Kaur in 14th position. The car at the front of this, which is Marco Ferrini, is currently in 6th place. There's 8 of them this close together. Sorry, 9 of them this close together. That's fantastic.
This is exactly what you expect to see in MX-5 racing. Nice, close, tight packs, always tussling for position, nearly always side by side as well.
Don't do it, Nils.
Nils Kaur is going to try and make it 3 wide, or at least take advantage of this great exit that you had relative to the slightly poorer one of Mike Murphy, and trying to put the power down all the way around the outside. Mike having a great fight back, but he's going to be stuck around the outside line and without enough slipstream to fight there with him. Very bright pink car, isn't it? We're seeing from Nils Kaur. You can pick him out and his teammate as there's Marco Ferrini on the inside, that then becomes the outside for Luffield, battling with that's Ryan Stitchbury in the purple, black and yellow MX-5. And through on the inside of them all is Matt Hoyland there with the Dexterous Motorsports machine, and I think Matt's been able to keep himself in the mix. Look at this beautiful little pack here again, side by side, nearly all the way through the lap. Now it's Marco Ferrini's turn to go around the outside if he can to fend off. That is
Van Beelen
Smith actually, who's just gotten ahead of him. Van Beelen I think is just in behind him.
Oh, Taylor's making it 3 wide there on the left in the white car. Werrell's on the inside line. Van Beelen's just in front of him. How they're not making contact here, I don't know, but this is epic stuff. Oh, Fraser's off. He's decided to go on the Grand Prix circuit. Werrell's now got the run on Van Beelen. Ferrini's side by side with Fraser Smith. Now Werrell is going to push Van Beelen here to try and get him back alongside Taylor Adams. Mike Murphy and Nils Cora at the back of this. We've gone to the chopper cam because it's the only way to make sense of what's going on here. So hard to see otherwise. Don't forget, Jan Stitchbury and Mike Murphy are just in front of this lot as well. Werrell has to get out of it, not to hit Van Beelen. As Farini sideways off the back of Fraser Smith. Now Van Beelen back down the inside of Taylor. This is absolutely brilliant racing. This is exactly why the MX-5s are so... I mean, they can often be very underrated on iRacing. We need to look at the front, I'm afraid, because Dan McCauley is all over the back of Arthur Thurtle, still not got through. Joe Glass is there with them, but these guys, they've broken away here, Ed. They've got a bit of an easy ride of this.
So far, they have an easy ride of things, but I don't think it's going to stay that way for long because they're going to sort of cause their own trouble to one another, aren't they? Dan McCauley and Arthur Thurtle are not ones to shy away from a scrap.
Definitely not.
Obviously, compared to this, it's pedestrian.
Yeah, this is just mental from here. It's so cool, though. And again, we've both commentated on many great MX-5 series in our time on iRacing. It's the bread and butter of iRacing if you ever do a sort of, let's say, a run through of the official series, starting in the rookies and building your way up. It is such a fun car to drive, and it's a challenging car to drive as well. That's the thing. It's a great way to cut your teeth in rear-wheel drive race cars, as Werrell nearly cuts his teeth on the back of Dennis Van Beelen's machine. Oh, they're sideways around there. You can see them all dabbing the brakes, managing the throttle, and trying their best to just get some extra rotation out of it. And for once, they're going to go down the start-finish straight, single file.
Here we go. Nice.
For now.
Chill, I say that as, again, the little mustachioed Mazda. You can see that there are Fraser Smith once more. Just carves his way through the field yet again. Look at the pace he's got. That is, sorry, Taylor Adams, isn't it, that's carving his way through the field?
Fraser's done that, though. You're
Fraser's
very right.
already
Yeah,
done that. Yeah.
Yeah, Fraser's already got there and gone away with it. As Nils Cora and Dennis Van Beelen are trying to sort of team up on everybody. There's so much gravel and dust being kicked out there. They're 3 wide there now as Nils Cora's got Mike Murphy one side and Jack Werrell the other, and behind them all, Ben Chalcraft gets a front row seat of this. Oh, that's not 3 cars wide, boy. Werrell Doran Core on the way in to Brooklands. Oh, there's contact. Mike Murphy drags him wide. Chalcraft has to get out of the way of his teammate. They now stick together. Oh, they've got a great view of all of this kicking off, haven't they? Taylor Adams now has actually lost a bit of time with all of that battling to Farini, who's now stuck to the back of Jan Stitchbury. Heinz Mayer, by the way, and Francois Brandet, they're loving life at the minute. They may get overtaken by Fraser Smith if things carry on, but you know, Heinz and Francois on for some good points, considering that they both had tough, challenging races earlier on in the night. Let's go to something a little bit more chill. Let's ride on board with Dan McCauley. It's not often we say that, but yeah, it is at this case, isn't it? Only one car to look at in front of us.
Yeah, only the one, but it is the one that is currently holding position 1. Arthur Thurtle in the lead of the race ahead of Dan McCauley.
Oh.
But Joe Glass, he stayed with him. Joe is right there in the mix as, oh dear, Jack Werrell. That is, well, certainly a lighter MX-5 now, but it's going to be suffering, I think, in top end because that damage is not going to do the engine any good.
Yeah, that was, not great. Dennis Van Beelen's car has got a bit of damage, so too is Nils Cora and Jack Werrell. So something has happened with the 3 of them there down at Maggots and Beckett's. They're absolutely swallowing up Ben Chalcraft as Farini. Farini's got damage and Taylor Adams is in the wall. Farini's off. Farini's going into the pits. Wow, that's absolutely destroyed. Werrell's come along to help. Goodness me. It's all suddenly kicked off now as Fraser Smith has got ahead of Heinz Mayer for 5th position. That's a fact, I can tell you, rather than just opinion.
Yeah, it's, again, the Royal Air Force. Fraser Smith is certainly going at speed, flying through the field, it's been fair to say.
Absolutely.
Both in the last race and in this one.
There's 2 MX-5s there. Promise. Dan McCauley, all over. I mean, he's got damage on the front of the car. He's been that close to the back of Arthur Thurtle here. Francois Brandet saying how fitting the Italian driver gets a meatball. Poor Marco Farini in the pit lane. Looks like Marco's had a bit of a challenging evening. Yeah. But to be fair, Chris Humphries as well, Chris Jennings, both out of the race here. They've also had a bit of a tough night. Chris making his debut in the SRM community. But you have to think here, is Dan McCauley just waiting for his opportunity to pounce? on Arthur Thurtle. Is he in the slipstream waiting to just make something of this in the last few laps? He's got 8 3/4 minutes to go. He's stayed with Arthur throughout this race so far. There's nothing saying that he can't just pounce when he wants to here, and he's keeping Arthur where he needs to be. You know, Dan is a very accomplished kart racer. He's incredibly fast. He used to race against the likes of Lando Norris, Jamie Caroline, and beat them. So he knows what he's doing when it comes to, you know, knowing when to dive out and make a move and hold your ground. Arthur, though, we've seen him many a time win many things here at SRM. Both of them race winners in the GT3 Winter Tour. Arthur went on to win the championship, of course. It's an interesting mix-up, isn't it, this? Interesting matchup.
A brilliant little tussle. I mean, there's so many great battles everywhere up and down the field, but certainly one of them to keep an eye on is that battle for the lead. Joe Glass as well. Don't count him out. He's waiting in the wings should those front two come to blows. But I think that battle with sort of Ian Stitchbury in the midst of it, Francois Brandet, Heinz Meyer, all of those drivers, that sort of second pack from the leaders is one to, I think, give us the lion's share of the entertainment. As again, he's trying to muscle his way through ahead at Cops. He's just been able to do that actually with Matt Hoyland in behind. And then again, you can just see the two pink MX-5s, Niels Corr and Dennis Van Beelen, teammates working together. Great racing teammates. I mean, ganging up on the, well, Spontex Hedgehogs.
You say they were working together. I think they've hit each other at some point. They've hit each other again there, actually. But these two, yeah, definitely, they're at least wearing the same livery. That's about as far as the teamwork goes, I think, from these guys. But they've had some hilarious liveries tonight as they both go around Ben Shalcraft. I think Ben's got damage from something. He seems to be struggling quite a bit on the exit of the corners.
It was actually bump draft that is able to help them out massively with the speed. But you might be right there. It doesn't necessarily visually appear to be damage on Ben's car, but you never know exactly what's going on underneath the... underneath the shell.
Just seeing what the steering's like. It seems okay, but it seems a little bit wobbly in a straight line. We need to go further forward. Jan Stitchbury has got past Heinz Meyer. Joe Glass and Dan McCauley have swapped places and then swapped back again as well at some point, so I'm not quite sure what's happened to Dan here, whether he lost a bit of time and then Joe's gone off or something, I don't know. Still 6 minutes left.
For a move here. He's really close now to Arthur Thurtle and had a good run out of turn 3 essentially. But again, I think he's just pulling his punches. He's waiting until the end. He knows that the slipstream's strong enough to get him alongside to make that move for the lead.
Yeah, and Joe Glass, to be fair to him, we've not seen a huge amount of him tonight. He had a lot of spins in the Formula Ford earlier, but he's kicked the floor out of his car as no, Francois Brandet is around. He was having such a good run. He's had drama somewhere. Jan Stitchbury's got past him. Matt Hoyland's got past him. Ben Shalcraft just slithers his way through around the outside, and Francois Brandet drops down the order, unfortunately. Back to the front, though. Arthur Thurtle and Dan McCauley still absolutely glued together. This is epic stuff to watch. Really, really entertaining racing from these guys. There may not be a position change every single corner, but this is the sort of close racing that you want. It's a really respectful and close chase, isn't it, where they are less than a car length apart at all times. Joe Glass is not going to want to wait around, though, is he? He's going to see this as an opportunity, and he's going to try and jump in at his earliest convenience.
Right there, Joe Glass again. We know he's very smart with how he races from our time commentating on him in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Challenge. We know that he likes to pick his moments, doesn't necessarily go for the moves every single corner. So bides its time and looks at the bigger picture. So that we want to keep an eye on. Was that
I think Farini was going
through there. I think letting the leaders pass more than anything else, keep himself out of trouble, which is good to see from the newcomer.
Did say that he'd come to a stop recently, so I'm not quite sure whether he'd had a spin or something. Looked like Jack Werrell was coming into the pit lane there, maybe for some more oil, as he's decided to park it, unfortunately. Werrell's race now over, it seems. But now, Jan Stitchbury, again, you said before, Ed, he's been very consistent tonight, on for some more points in this race. Don't forget, everybody, that there is an end goal here, which is to sort of win the night overall. There's points for each race. You get 30 for winning a race, 25 for second place, then 22. And then after that, every position is just 1 point less. So all these guys, they're battling like their life depends on it, like it's some sort of life or death situation. but this is only for 1 championship point each at this stage. After 3rd position, it's all just 1 point per place. But in a night like this, where you've got 3 races in one evening that are very, very quick succession, you can't afford to let anything slide, even your own car.
Except that's kind of what you need to do in these X5s, is just slide the rear around a little bit to get that sort of cornering speed, carry the momentum out of the corners. Once more, Nils Core, I think, is going to try and maybe give a little bit of a push to his teammate.
There's a car on the right here, I can hear it. There it is, it's Ben Chalcraft. You could hear this little buzz in my right hand ear, and it wasn't you, it was another car. He's just there on the inside now as Francois Brandet wants a bit of this as well. He's trying to look at where these guys could all go. Oh, they're all manner of track limits avoidance there. There is just... I'm struggling for words at this point, Ed. This is one of the most chaotic nights of racing I've ever covered, and it's absolutely hilarious fun. As Francois Brandet hits the limiter on the way out. He's actually got ahead of Ben Chalcraft there. And now Jan Stitchbury's the one under stress, as Mike Murphy and Matt Hoyland are right together. Round the outside goes Hoyland. Mike Murphy was involved in this too. Oh, goodness me. Heinz Mayer's got a front row seat for this. Incredible. Marco Farini in the chat even saying, is there a prize for first Italian? There absolutely is, Marco, yeah. First placed Italian, even at 18th position in this race at present. Still a prize on your debut. Great stuff from these guys, look at them. They're all trying to... I mean, I've never seen... Oh, God, look at that in the background. I've never seen MX-5s be so wide. Mental.
Right. Oh, I tell you, these MX-5s, they are not disappointing. They never have done, and they never will. This is a brilliant, clean, by and large, fight all the way through the field. It seems like one where maybe we've got our race victor already decided, though, with just under 2 minutes to go. Arthur Thurtle ahead of Dan McCauley by nearly a second. Arthur's really been able just to build a bit more of a margin to the chasing Lightning McQueen car in behind. Just see actually a little bit of damage done to the front end of Dan's Mazda as well. Just slightly maybe hampering his top end.
Yeah, Farini there sitting behind them at this point. Just a lap down, hoping that he won't disturb the peace with that lead battle. Because Joe Glass, of course, will want to try and pick up the pieces should anything happen at the end of this. Now they've crossed the line with over 1 minute and 5 seconds to go. So there will be another lap after this one. This is Mike Murphy round the outside of Jan Stitchbury, clipping wing mirrors as they head round copse. Great respect from both drivers there as they remain side by side. Matt Hoyland now giving a push to his rival, Jan Stitchbury. Jan will now be on the inside line for the next bit. And that puts Mike Murphy on the outside and in a difficult place here. It's easy to get Freight Train. This is like watching the Blue Angels do formation fly in this. They are so close to each other at all times in diamond formation, but they're making such a great show of this. I'm absolutely in awe of these guys tonight. You know, there's not been anything silly at all, has there? It's just been brilliant racing.
It's been wonderful. All 3 races have had their differences, but they've had one thing in common, and that has been excellent racing. Mike Murphy now, we can see him just trying to fight away, see if there's any ways to get through Matt Hoyland, as Jan Stitchbury is getting muscled through as well. Arthur Thurtle now has got one more lap to go, and he will be, well, a double race winner on the night, but with that non-score at Snetterton, I don't think he will have done enough to come through with the overall victory in the evening.
Oh, Joe Glass really close to the back of Dan McCauley there. This is the final run down the back straight. Dan McCauley's got a really good run out of there, you know. I wouldn't be surprised if he stuck his nose down the inside or tried to move here on Arthur Thurtle. But you're absolutely right, though, Ed. That middle race of the night for Arthur with no points scored could be what upsets his evening. I've spent the entire GT3 Winter Tour listening to all these lot moan about drop scores. They're not having one tonight. Joe Glass then, 3rd position for him. Is it going to be enough? Is it going to be enough for Arthur Thurtle? Can he make it to the line and be ahead? Yes, Dan's on the throttle a little bit early. Arthur's going to get the run, and he is going to take the win in the final race of the night in the Orris Analytics Club Racing Fest by SRM. Dan McCauley 2nd, Joe Glass 3rd. Farini's had him at the line. Behind them, you've then got Jan Stitchbury. He's going to beat home Matt Hoyland, Mike Murphy, Heinz Mayer just behind that as well. Epic racing. Ben Chelcraft, Tom Stanley, they're all involved in that too. Wow, that was very close actually between Mike Murphy and Matt Hoyland. What about Dennis Van Beelen and Francois Brandet to the line? It's another drag race, Ed. Oh,
Here
boys.
we go, right to the line. They're having a little bit of argy-bargy, but I think Brandet is just going to edge out ahead of Van Beelen. But that was lovely, was it? Right at the end again. Photo finishes fairly common in these Mazdas, but what a race that was from Arthur Thurtle. Got in front and then, well, kept himself where he needed to come through with the race victory. But what we touched on, don't know if he will have done enough to have rounded out the night as the overall winner.
Well, we are slightly short on time, unfortunately, for this evening. Obviously, there won't be any interviews, but that was one of the most fun nights of racing I've ever covered. Absolutely unbelievable. Like, genuinely, every single race was epic. And again, it highlights just what a great community we have here at SRM. Everybody had fun in this event. There was no quarrels between anybody, no silly moves, no silly incidents. It was just a fantastic celebration of, you know, these underpowered and very often overlooked racing cars.
Yeah, they have been some wonderful cars, all of them. The Renault Clio, the Formula Ford, and then of course the Mazda MX-5 to round out what's been a brilliant evening's worth of racing. But Chaz, I think you are now ready with the results culminating all three races together.
Absolutely. And here they are. Fraser Smith wins the Orris Analytics Club Racing Fest by SRM. Matt Hoyland is 15 points back, but what a great second place that is for Matt. How under the radar was he tonight? Absolutely remarkable. Well done, Matt. Arthur Thurtle finishes in third place ahead of Tom Stanley and Yayin Stitchbury. Dan McCauley and Taylor Adams tied on points on 50 ahead of Ben Chelcraft, who will be very happy to have beaten Mike Murphy. Heinz Mayer finishes in 10th place. He gets a top 10. And then Joe Glass and Dennis Van Beelen tied on 41 points. Behind them was Kim Such in 13th. He finishes ahead of Nils Kaur on 34. Marco Farini finishes 15th on 33. And so too does Lee Berridge. To be honest, considering that Lee had a DNF at the start, that's a really, really good turnaround. Simon Price finishes on 31 points ahead of Chris Jennings and Francois Brandet. Chris Humphreys has 16 points in 20th, and Jack Werrell unfortunately has a bit of a challenging evening and finishes in on 7 points out of all of it. Now, as you can see, everybody, the replay has unfortunately frozen and stopped, but I just wanted to give a massive, massive thank you to everybody that took part in this incredible event on the SRM platform here on iRacing. It's been an absolute joy, and honestly it was great fun to be a part of it and be out there on the circuit as well. Obviously we tried to keep that under the radar, but I've decided I'm just going to tell you. Ed, any final words from you? I mean, we've tried to sum it up, but I don't think words can on a night like that, can they?
They really can't. It has been an amazing evening's worth of racing. I said I was able to join everyone, but I'll tell you what, watching it and not having a foggiest idea of what happened was more than enough for me. That was a brilliant display of, I think, what SRM is best at, and also what some of these different cars are best at as well, is these little club races on UK circuits, close, short races, and I'll tell you what, it worked out absolutely brilliantly. And I know Chaz will have many more special events to come in the future.
Absolutely. The next one of them, everybody, will be on Tuesday the 25th of February. So not even in a month's time now. So less than 4 weeks away, we're going to have the next special event. There is no concrete plan as of right now, but we do hope to use one of these three cars again for one of those events. So do keep your eye out for that over in the SRM Discord. There's a link to it in the description if you're not already part of this fantastic community. But once again, let me say thank you to everybody involved in running this, everybody for being incredible out there on track. Thank you so much as well, Ed, for jumping in on a different day to when we usually broadcast, and for everyone for the support. This has been so much fun to do, and we look forward to doing it once again in the near future. Thanks as always for watching us here on Chaz Draycott Media. We really hope you've enjoyed the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe as ever, and we'll hopefully see you again very, very soon with SRM. Jochen Hahn and Antonio Albacete. The two of them go flying through the right-hand side, then the left-hand side. Jochen Hahn around the outside, and Lucas Hahn, no father and son, come together on the exit of turn 1.
And the best thing about this is the fact that it's still a 15-minute sprint race. They've not extended the time of the race. It's still just like, it's going to be, what, 7 laps of Spa-Francorchamps?
We get to the real nitty-gritty of motorsport. Cranston and Snetterton side by side for the title in the very final race of the season as they go back up the hill towards the Schumacher. Nils Kor clips the back at 10, Simon Povey clips the side of Nils Kor. They go over the hill and Povey's around.
Oh my god, that's going to definitely be the thumbnail, isn't it? Hit me in the right direction.
Thank you so much.
23 cars.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.